we're breaking down the perfect schedule for wholesaling. So without further ado, let's kind of get into everything today. So we're just going to break down the perfect wholesaling schedule, what you're supposed to do with your time and how to effectively use that. Remember, guys, in wholesaling real estate, we have two things that we have to properly manage for success. This is our time and our money. If we know how to utilize both things correctly, we can become very successful. Obviously, money, you can have $0 and be successful in wholesaling, but also you can have a ton of money. And if you don't utilize your time correctly, you're actually going to fail in this too. So we're going to show you is a lot of it's the time portion, because you can kind of change it. If you have a bunch of money, do have cold callers cold call for you, not do it yourself. This is very important, but we're going to break down the time aspect. It's one of the most important ones for wholesaling real estate success. So without further ado, let's kind of break down the four type of
PPT.
PPT, PT, FT, CT. Like, there's basically, in my opinion, when I look at a wholesaler, they're either in four categories. There's pretty much not other ones. So these categories are part-time wholesaling, full-time wholesaling, and what I like to call crazy time, right? Well, I think we've both been on crazy time wholesaling before. We don't like to be on crazy time all the time, but crazy time is like when you're going all out.
And let me give you a disclaimer. Every one of you will go through some sort of phases. Some of you guys are watching your first wholesaling video and you're like part-time. Here's the difference between most people. Like, we're going to break down the schedule today, but you actually have to take the action. So if you study all the coursework, everything we provide you for free, it doesn't make you like a crazy time. You actually have to put in the action to do this. So we're all taught to study till we get it perfect. And I'm here to tell you, you have to take education and action at the same time. It actually feels awkward. It's kind of like swimming and not knowing how to swim the entire time. The idea is here, if you can use that metaphor, as long as you can keep your head above water, you can keep swimming forward. But the problem is if you stay out of the pool the entire time, you're never going to make it.
It's like running.
Well, running. If you stop running, you just sit down. So,
but here's the problem:
swimming, you drown.
How do you get better at running? Right, you run. It doesn't matter if you want to start running 30. You don't run like 30-mile, 100-mile like ultra marathons.
Yeah,
you start by running half a mile, right? Next week you maybe do 0.75, then a mile, and then like you slowly but surely. How do you get better at wholesaling? You just do it. How do you get better?
The ones that scare me, they go straight to crazy time. And I'm telling you, it's
good, but you'll burn out.
But a lot of the crazy time is like overstudying, and you got to find like a balance. So we'll break down the times. I'm just telling you, like, a lot of you are in the part-time. You're looking at right now, trying to figure it out. The only thing you have to understand is you have to infuse a lot of action with it.
Yeah.
This isn't like a 4-year university. You realistically can do a deal within 30 days and put 10, 20 grand in your pocket without knowing 80% of wholesaling.
I completely agree.
So don't wait 6 months or a year to figure it all out. You might as well get paid while you're learning your skill set. And honestly, it's the biggest problem I see in wholesaling. So keep that in mind as we walk you through the timelines today.
So let's kind of break everything down. So let's start with part-time, right?
Part-time.
Part-time.
It's hard to say. Part-time.
Part-time.
Yeah.
All right. Part-time. So basically how it works is a lot of people out here, they can only put like 5 hours a week into wholesaling. I get it. Maybe you work a full-time job, double shift, right?
Mm-hmm.
You only got 5 hours. Let me kind of break down more or less. If you only have 5 hours, what you can basically do.
I started out with this.
A lot of people start out with this. So let's kind of break this down. So basically how it works is if you only have 5 hours, you can only really dedicate 2 hours for list polling, 2 hours for your marketing, and maybe like an hour for sellers, following up appointments, building cash buyers. Really, that's going to be the best breakdown I could say, right? I mean, you got 5 hours.
Yeah. I mean, remember, when it comes to wholesaling, it's about the quality of work you do. There's no time punching here, man. Like, you only get paid when you profit on a deal. So in the beginning, you are going to fumble somewhat, but I'm telling you, it's not like you guys are comparing it to 40, 50-hour work weeks. The reality is most people only work. How many hours do you think people are actually productive in a 40-hour week?
Probably 20, 25.
I'd say less than that. I've been there.
That's part-time. Now, if I have to create like a schedule for part-time, this is really where it would be like, I don't know, about 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on a Saturday maybe drawing for dollars or reverse drawing for dollars. And then 5 to 7 p.m. on like a Monday cold calling that list or cold calling another type of government list. But maybe like 2 to 3 p.m. on like the next Friday or Saturday, whenever you can. You probably spend that on seller appointments, talking to them, following up, building cash buyers. Only 5 hours isn't a lot. It really goes by fast.
It goes by fast.
Some people, that's like half a day's work for them, right? So really, that'd be the best one if you have 5 hours. It's not much,
and it's somewhat spread out. So it's listen, in wholesaling, it's a lot of you put out your marketing, people respond to you. You tend to play a little bit of phone tag. So I want you to understand the ebb and flow of it. Remember, the more people you can attempt to talk to, the higher your probability is going to be, especially in the beginning.
I agree 100% here. So that's really what I would say, more or less, like how to become successful. It's just, if you have only the 5 hours, that's going to be your best kind of split. So let's kind of talk about part-time wholesaling, right? Part-time, where you have like 10, 20 hours, right? This is where a lot of people starting out, they got a job and they can push it hard and do 10 to 20 hours per week. This is where I think most wholesalers are at. Now, if you're complaining you only have 5 hours, this is like you're all day spent. You for 5 days, you have 1 hour less of sleep. You only have 5 hours, right? But like 10 to 20, most people can do it. Let's kind of break down the split here. 10 hours a week, this is the split. If you're working 20, just double these numbers. I really like a 4-4-2 split. It's kind of an 80-20, 20% on appointments, cash buyers following up, and then 80% like actively on the marketing side. So if you have 10 hours, 4 hours for list polling, 4 hours for cold calling, marketing, reverse drawing for hours, whatever you want. And then basically 2 hours for sellers, cash buyers following up. One quick tip I can basically give to you on this chart here is when you were looking at everything on this chart, you can understand that the skip tracing, like using TruePeopleSearch.com, right? You're doing basically pulling probate lists online. A lot of the stuff you can do at night. So like if you're a night owl, you can do this at 2, 3, 4 a.m. Like nobody cares to a point, right? You're pulling the list. You're doing the True People search. Like it doesn't really matter what you're doing. Now, don't reverse drawing for dollars at 3 a.m., but it doesn't matter. And if you're an early bird, like 6 a.m., you want to start putting sticky notes out, you want to drive for dollars, the sun's up, go for it, right? There's no set time. The only times that are set are talking to sellers and cash buyers. That should be between 9 and 7 p.m. Heck, 8 p.m. if you really want to push it. But really, those are the only times you actually need to be talking to sellers. Everything outside of that, you're going to be fine.
So when I used to do this part-time, when I worked for full-time for a corporate company, I would meet with my sellers in the early evening, and honestly, just on my way home from work. It was just, I was a little odd because I was in like an actual suit. So I had to like take off the jacket, take off the tie, or I would change. But I'm here to tell you, it's just kind of, you can adapt the part-time schedule to work around your needs. So if you're providing for your family and go, listen, I want to get out of this, I want to use wholesaling, come up with a plan, 6, 12 months, whatever it is, to replace your income. And then like on your way home, a lot of people are doing the same thing they're getting off of work. Yeah. And that's really the best time of talking. And you just got to kind of balance your schedule that way.
I agree. So that's really the split. A lot of people are like, Zach, should I wholesale on a Sunday? Right? Now, Sunday's a weird one, right? If you have to have conversation on Sundays, people don't flip out, right? Maybe someone's going to church on a Saturday morning. There's the only time someone's ever flipped out on me. But really, it's really, when's the best time to cold call? Whenever you can cold call, right?
Yeah, just get
within
it done.
Reasonable hours. So you got to stay within the laws. Most TCPA laws is you can't call before 8 a.m. or I think cold call before 9 a.m. or cold call after 8. So really stay within those parameters and you're going to be fine for talking to sellers and cold calling.
Yeah.
And that'll give you the best one. So double it up if you're working 20 hours, right? That's kind of where we'd say for a schedule, you really got to make it for your own on the part-time. I feel like at night or early in the morning, if you got kids, like when the kids aren't screaming or like whatever, I would do the list polling. A lot of the marketing, cold calling, reverse drawing for dollars would be during the daytime, and the sellers and cash buyers are the same exact thing. Now, what is full-time, right? Full-time is going to be 40 hours a week. Do you consider that full-time for wholesaling? I mean,
well, you're going to find as you progress and you get out of the basics of wholesaling, meaning it's providing an income, it's providing for your family, you get in this full-time status. I'm telling you, once you get past like year 2 and even 3, like here's the really cool part about it. You actually work less.
Yeah.
You actually work less. It's a different type of 40 hours. Most people from year 1 to year 2 and 3, you can't get them out of wholesaling. They get so addicted to it. It's so cool. And they want to ramp it up and they run with it. And they find out like later in life, it's everything's a balance. And remember why you got into wholesaling. Most of you got in to get freedom of your time and to get financially free. So you don't have to depend on anybody else. So always keep your goals in mind. I have no problem. People want to make a ton of money, but just do not sacrifice your family or do anything. So as you go into it, I'm in years 20, and honestly, I don't do a 40-hour work week. But my skill sets.
You got people doing it for
correct.
us, right?
So you teach other people to bring them along the journey, and you decide what level you want to do that at.
Yeah, exactly. So Lance has a question here. I'm just going to say this. Lance, so FYI, I know I have less experience, Lance, but what I can basically tell you is 4 hours to pull a list is not a lot. So really, you want to pull a probate list, a code violation list, let's say a fire damage property and a code violation, arrest record list. You want to actually cross-reference that data, skip trace on true people search, add drawing for dollars on top of that. 4 hours actually isn't a lot if you really look at it.
Yeah, and Lance, in the beginning, like it took me 10 hours to pull a list.
I
had no idea what I was doing. And honestly, that's probably my highest, best skill set now is pulling lists. And even remember, if you do not get the list right, everything else you do is going to have problems. Trust me, I've pulled the wrong list. I've pulled the wrong data. And I'm telling you, you're going to spend 2 to 3 times more than what you would normally do in the beginning because you're not used to it. I would spend as much time as I could on list pulling because once you can master this, it will catapult your wholesaling. Because remember, your list is your target prospects. If you're not in the right zone, you waste hundreds of hours. So if you got to spend 5, 7, 8 hours pulling a list, it could potentially save you 100 hours in like dead leads or doing deals with people you should never, ever be dealing. You got to find motivated sellers.
I mean, heck, like for me, I spent like 2 hours. So if I had school at 8 a.m., like for high school, I would go 5 to 7 and do bandit signs like twice a week. That's already 4 hours there, right? Like the time does creep up on you. That's why you want to have a schedule like we're saying today, because it might not seem like a lot, but once you actually start pulling all these lists, because here's the thing, you pull the list in 30 minutes, there's basically an unlimited supply of lists if you really look at it, right? Mm-hmm. Government lists, code violations, fire damage properties, arrest, probates. It goes on, pre-foreclosures, IRS liens, credit card debt lien. Like it doesn't stop. And there's almost an unlimited amount of lists you can pull. That is never your issue. It's like how much money to make. Yeah. There's an unlimited amount of money you can make.
So it takes you about 6 months to a year to really master a list because how do you master a list? Well, you're not going to go to a teacher and get a grade. When you do your marketing and you get deals and you go, wow, we got 3 deals off that list. That's the list. We're going to double down and go for it. That's how you figure it out. So you're going to like fire off in the beginning. And honestly, I used to spend a day on pulling lists. I swear to you on this because I understand if I have the wrong list, it's like getting the coordinates to a spot on like a fishing lake and the guy sent you to the wrong spot. Yeah. I don't care what bait you use, you ain't catching a thing. So guys, the first thing you master in wholesaling is the ability to get in the right pond, get the right list. Then you pick the median to do it. And then you meet with sellers. But remember, guys, if you're not going to the right place, no matter what you do, it's going to be wrong. I've made huge mistakes on lists. You only make the mistake once. We're here to sell you, kind of prevent you from making that mistake. So in the beginning, like think about it. The guy, you ever have a guy, if you have ever bought a bike or like a grill from like these local stores like Walmart or Home Depot, it looks so great. Remember, it's all assembled.
Yeah.
And you get it. The guy goes, it's a great price. And you turn around the corner and the guy throws a box in your cart.
It's IKEA.
And you get home like, oh, the picture looks so pretty. Yeah. And you get home and there's like a bag of like 300 parts. You're like, how long does it take you to put together? I've put in a bike together 4 and 5 hours, like when these kids were little. And it's like, we're missing parts. I'm like, okay, what's the big deal? Now, If you're getting your daughter a bike along with your son, that bike took half the time to do.
Yeah.
And every bike after that, where I've seen the guy at Home Depot putting the grills, the guy would line up like 25 grills, and he would. I got the point that you just pay the guy $50 to put it together. I'll pay it all day long. But what I'm trying to say is, once they get experience in doing it, they got the skill set and they become extremely efficient with it. There's no difference in wholesaling. I can teach you how to do all this stuff, but you're going to have to go along the journey and figure it out. Even if I walked you through it, it's still going to take you a ton of the time in the beginning.
And the last part here is, of course, it's really important pulling the list,
Mm-hmm.
but the other half of the battle is what you do with that list, right? It just everyone thinks pulling the list it is one of the most important things, but again, it's what you do with that list. And you can have a list of 100 deals, of 1,000 lists, and 100 of those are deals. If you market it the wrong way, you're going to fail.
Yeah. Or if you get a list, you go, well, I'm going to go big. Somebody told me to go big. I mean, I'm telling you to go big in different ways, but you get a list of 30,000. How are you going to market to all these people if you pay for that data? Like, you spent a fortune on it and you're a one-person army. So you got to have like you got to have all the pieces to the puzzle. And I tell people this, you can overmarket anything. I promise you, I've done it all the time. You can outspend it. If you don't have the systems to process the leads, it's going to cost you a ton of money. So you want to balance it out. I love pulling the right list. And I'm telling you guys, don't worry about how much time you spend on pulling lists. In my opinion, you can't spend enough time, because that's where you really learn the fundamentals of wholesaling. Okay, these are the type of people, these are the type of problems I'm focusing on. These are the type of houses I want. And then you go, okay, I got the list. Now I got to pick the vehicle to connect with them. And then we teach you how to connect with sellers. It is a process you go through. You can't spend too much time in the beginning in wholesaling. You can't spend too much studying. So if you want to take the next step, practice. How do you practice? Have a conversation with a motivated seller. Go get your spouse, go get your mother, go get your sister, and talk to them. Because the more you talk to people, once again, you're going to be terrible at the beginning. And as you go through repetition, you get more and more confident. So, but you just don't want to study this stuff, guys. You want to actually take steps and move forward.
I agree. You just got to take that action. So let's talk about full-time, right? Basically full-time, more or less. It's going to be 8 hours of polling, skip tracing. At this point, you're very effective at list polling. You might have a VA or two doing the hard stuff for you. You're roughly like, at this point, you should be at least 24 hours in a week of just marketing to a point. Text blasting, cold calling, reverse drawing for dollars, like a lot of it. The marketing, list polling are kind of combined on the drawing for dollars and reverse drawing for dollars, which you guys should be doing. So combine those two. And then honestly, I think this is pushing it, but like 8 hours on cash buyers, following up, dealing with motivated sellers, right?
Yeah.
Not insane amount, but like it won't be as crazy as you think. Sure. And the list polling seems light on this. I get it, but I'm assuming if you're full-time, you've been making enough money, maybe even 100K, 50K a year, you can start paying for some stuff, right?
Yeah. So guys, keep in mind, 40 hours, it's not like a typical work week. Because remember, you're not commuting to work anymore. So you probably just knocked off, I don't know, 7-8 hours of your week.
Yeah.
You're not putting gas in your car, particularly for this. So honestly, 40 hours, you're going to get back so much time. As I said, do not start off with an office. You do not need it to start out wholesaling. Okay. It is critical. And notice every schedule that we showed you had the same derivative, meaning 80% of your time is focused on some sort of marketing activity. It is imperative that you guys become like marketing masters. It's lists and marketing. So list is part of marketing. It doesn't matter what level you are. As you get more experience and you earn more money, then you can start delegating. But guess what? In that first year, when you figure out marketing, if you wanted to get like someone to handle the marketing for you, you know how to train them. You know exactly what to look for. You can write a plan of action for them from start to finish and confidently. All you're trying to do is duplicate what you do so you can free up to go do other higher priority tasks. But listen, to this day, 20 years, I'm still heavily involved in the marketing because I understand it is the lifeblood of wholesaling. And without it, there's body and moving. So don't forget it. And then every now and then you got a challenge. If you outsource that, you got to go, hey, what'd you do this for? Like, hey, let's work together with it. So don't take your eye off the ball and don't just hand it to someone. If you want to delegate and manage them, that's fine. But you have to understand marketing. You can't just have someone tell you how to do it. I've had people try to tell me to do marketing. I go, you've never wholesale before, have you? That's my first question to them. So statement.
It's crazy, but that's basically the part-time part through it. And then let's see. All right, next one here is going to be basically a schedule here. So if you're working 40 hours, like this is rough stuff, right? 9 a.m. to basically 12 p.m. You're really going to just be. Now, this is different than this is going to be a little different than the part-time, right? So like if you're a full-time wholesaler, right? I would honestly think basically 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Seller work on the CRM. So what I mean by this is you're basically just working the CRM, right? You're doing your follow-ups, you're talking to sellers, you're having conversations. This is kind of the weird time because like it's not a good time for cold calling really that early, right? But people are pretty much up and you can have conversations with sellers. You're not doing appointments, but this is where a lot of your phone work's going to be. This is where I really found out the best as a solo person. I would say 12 to 2 p.m. Really just do your in-person list polling, right? You can drive for dollars, go visit the clerk of the court, whatever you really want, just for that list polling part, like 2 hours really. Basically, the next part is like 2 to 5. That's just cold calling, right? And SMS, what type of marketing outreach you want to do. You can drive for dollars also. That's like basically 8 hours, right? 5 days a week. That's 40 hours. I haven't really seen a better one because like you can do CRM work on the evening, but like that's prime cold calling hours, right? 12 to 2 is a little too early, but people are still up. So you can switch 9 a.m. and 12 p.m. with 12 and 2. You can do like 11 to 2 and then 9 to 11, like whatever one you really want. One bonus I can give to you if you want to work an extra 5 hours a week, this is actually kind of cool. Just eat all your food after 5 and like skip your lunch. And a lot of people don't like this, but like
now we're getting into health and fitness.
No, this isn't health and fitness. This is productivity. If you skip your 30-minute to an hour lunch every single day, just eat after you're done working, you don't have to waste that 1 hour because a lot of people take an hour lunch and then they're done at 5. And then they actually really work 7 hours, not 40 hours.
Then they get hangry.
I don't get hangry. I'm just telling you, this is a suggestion. Hangry. This is just a suggestion. But like you get extra 5 hours in a week. It works really well for me.
Yeah, now, if you skip sleeping, it gets even more efficient.
To a point. You don't need more than an hour of sleep. No. But what I can tell you is it's definitely good to have a break. One thing I can tell you is one thing I do during my work week, which it's kind of crazy, but it's true. I break up. So I work 4 hours and then 4 hours. Mm-hmm. So I work 4 hours, go work out in between the day, which kind of it throws my mind off of work.
That's your lunch hour.
And it's kind of my lunch hour to a point where it's kind of a break. It's like mentally break, but I'm still doing something. I get my workout for the day. Not a lot of people are working out at like 2 to 3 p.m. It's perfect. And then I get back to working.
Yeah, like 1 to 3. Most gyms are dead. That's one of the other benefits of wholesaling there.
Yeah, it works really
You can
really
do
well.
like your own schedule, but like we're not getting on to like how to like complete productivity hacks. The idea is to get you a schedule because so many people go, hey, what's your schedule look like? Honestly, you guys would be bored out of your mind if you come and hung out with me because like there's a flurry of activity and then there's dead time to do this. So I've always learned, so everybody adapts it however they want.
Or you can eat while you're pulling a list. Like I always eat when I'm working too.
It depends though. If you're filling your mouth all the way, it's like people can understand
have a sandwich. You can work on and why.
But if it's crunchy,
you eat weird food.
I like to do blocks. So I'm a big 2 hour block guy. So the idea is if you give yourself a deadline and go, okay, 2 hours, I'm cold calling. That's it. No interruptions. Lock the door. Don't pet the dog. Don't let the dog lick you.
Pet the dog.
Don't let the cat meow to death because they're all distracted. And just get it. And once you get past that 15 minutes, man, does it go by. And I find if I set blocks and do that, so many of you guys schedule every minute of the day. You guys know people like that. Like that stresses me out. So like, take time blocks and leave hours in between, and that will help make up for all the things that come up with life, like, car breaks down or, the kids need a ride or the soccer coach needs to talk to you about Melissa's attitude, whatever it is. So life comes up and you got to be prepared for it. So if you schedule every minute of the day, they're like, and then you ever gotten so far off course, you're like, man, like I might as well just call it a day. You have got to stick to the basics and get it done. So if you want, you can take the exact schedule me and Zach gives you, and you can do time blocks. And I find when I block it out, and if I get ahead, I just get more time for the day. But If you think you can perfectly cold call in like a hour and a half window, it just doesn't work that way. Because the minute you're done, then people are calling you back, and it winds up being 2 to 3 hours. So if you set it task oriented and put a timeline on it, mentally you feel like you have to finish it.
It's the most important part. And I like the time blocks. I'm kind of a grinder. You're a grinder to a point, but I think we're a little different on the way we are, just to a point. I'm a grind. I will grind through 7 hours of just working. But like I have weird quirks too. Like I like working out. It makes me actually work better. So just
Clears
a
your
little
head.
different. But honestly, for a full time, it's really what's up to you. This is just my little suggestion. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but like you only need, if you're going to take a lunch in between, do a 20-minute lunch, 30-minute meal prep, whatever. But like I'm telling you, just like a lot of people waste an hour just doing something non-productive. And that adds in 5 hours a week. And if you could, like, let's say you drive for dollars 5 hours extra a week, cold call an extra 5 hours a week, even cold call a Zillow for sale by owner, or even do that 5 hours over a month, over a year. What is that? 5 hours for a month is like 20 extra hours of work. And you like, that's 240 hours. That's like an extra month of working, more or less, like by just being more efficient. Yeah. I'm all about efficiency, but like just see how you're doing it.
You know how you get extremely efficient?
What?
Do you know how much time's wasted on the ridiculous phone calls we take like all day?
I've been telling everyone.
So number one, I've learned some of the hacks. Like some people just say, listen, just change your phone number and only give it to the important people in your life. Not a bad move if you want to make an extreme change.
I'm talking about old ladies on the phone with you for like 30 minutes. Like if it's not a deal, get off the phone.
But number two is like when your friends call you and like ask yourself, is this going to make me more productive if I answer the call? I'm not telling you to ignore your kids or your spouse or anything like that, but sometimes you're okay letting that call go because it's so many of these conversations are mindless. And you have to stop yourself. I only have 2 hours. If I take 20 minutes to talk to Joe, I'm not going to get accomplished what I need to get done. If you take 2 or 3 of those calls during the day, you're going to lose an hour. And that's how we talk about lunch. Lunch, we always say, oh, we'll just take a 30-minute break. It always bleeds over. And then you get like a little bit tired. Remember, you guys are working a solo entrepreneur business. I don't need you taking like a nap after you get a lot, because now we've lost a half hour.
Naps.
Now we've lost the nap. It's like
yeah,
you've got to be disciplined. So find out what your musts are, spell them out, and do the most important part of your wholesaling and block it off and go, this is non-negotiable, especially when it comes to cold calling and getting your marketing out and talking to sellers. And my last little hack, Saturday is I always use as like a catch-up day. So if I'm behind on something or I'm pursuing a seller that's like ghosting me, that's when I go in like my detective mode. I go, I'm going to go find this guy. I get in the car and I kind of do like some detective work. I talk to the neighbors, and sooner or later I flush somebody out. But that's the one I don't feel like I'm on the clock and I can get those last hanging tasks that get done. I like to take Sunday off and just kind of recharge the day, but completely up to you. Saturday, I leave as an optional. You're much more productive in the morning till around 2:00, and then.
Oh, that's you. There's no football on, so it's like I can just work all Saturday. I don't
What's
even care
football?
anymore.
I haven't seen it in so long.
But so guys, that's what. So let's kind of break down the next part here. Crazy time. This is like when you're going all out. Like sometimes you can do this for like 1 week out of a month, or like I used to do this.
Some people do this on a regular basis.
I did this for years. I was doing like 70, 80 hours a week for years, and it's good. But at this point, if you're making so much money working 100 hours a week, y'all need a VA. Okay, I put that in there. Y'all need a VA, LOL.
You need help.
If you're working 100 hours a week and you're making hundreds of thousands,
it's a good problem to have.
It's a good problem, but you need a VA. So one thing I can tell you, combined, I might work. Okay, so I used to work like 5 hours a week in the business. I'm working like 10 hours now just because of the JV deals and stuff. And the JV links are going to be back up Monday. Freewholesaling.com. You can still submit right now for the freewholesaling.com people. But I can tell you is we're redoing it because we're doing so many JV deals that we're trying to ramp it up even more. I'm working like 10 hours extra, 5 hours extra just because I like it. But really, like you're at 5 hours a week.
So we're slowly bringing in people to help us like manage it and get response. And
I'm talking about per week though.
Yeah, per week.
5 hours.
Well, like sometimes I just have a week like I feel like going all in like I do every day. And it's just, I will tell you in the beginning, I'm so glad I didn't keep a record how many hours I worked.
Yeah.
But like I was so excited, I was so eager, I was making progress, and that momentum builds. And the idea is you go from part-time all the way to crazy time.
It's crazy. So one thing I just want to let you guys know, I'm gonna get in trouble saying this, but I'm working 10 hours a week. You're working 5 hours a week, right? When your favorite guru's bragging about working 80 hours a week, just FYI, it's not 80 hours in wholesaling. It's 78 hours in coaching and 2 hours into wholesaling. So I see a lot of influencers bragging about how they're working 80, 90, 100 hours a week. I'm just letting you know they're not working 100 hours a week in wholesaling. You might see your favorite guru say that and you're like, okay, I need to work 100 hours a week. They might spend 70 hours a week on a TV show, 20 hours on
they're on a plane,
calls,
going to a speaking event.
I'm seeing these TV shows. We've already said this. We've been offered from huge networks TV shows, and we've said no each time because they said we got to control your YouTubes, your lives. You have to come for us for permission of what to say. We say no. So you hear people bragging about TV shows working 100 hours a week, guys. It's
unless they're going to do a show on wholesaling, we'll do it. We are not house flippers. Okay. Anybody can sit there and buy a house. You know, I bought it for this. I'm going to tell you what I fixed it up for, and I'm going to tell you I made a huge profit. There's no way to verify any of this information. That's why it makes a great show. And the reality is, people think it's really cool to take an old beater house and make it look brand new. And, you know, it's neat. But I'm telling you, on the investor side, you don't want to be on that equation. And especially in today's market, you want to get destroyed, do that. I'm telling you guys, every wholesaler goes through this process. You start a wholesaling and go, oh, why don't I keep a couple? We'll fix and flip.
The person's telling me on the network, they're like, I don't know if you can be on the show because you just don't have a design person. I'm like, what are you talking about, design person? We're trying to make the most money on the deal. I don't need a design. You know, you need a full-time designer for the TV show. I'm like, so guys, just FYI, when someone brags about working 100 hours a week in wholesaling, I'm just letting you know, don't think that you have to work 100 hours. At most, you should work like 70 or 80 if you're pushing it, but you actually getting a VA in there, and that should push you back to 10, 15, 20 hours a week. I just want to let everybody, I'm not saying this go after gurus, which I do love going after gurus. When they brag about doing 70, 80 hours a week, it's because they're coaching 70, 80 hours a week. Don't feel like you have to do the same thing. Yeah. It's ridiculous.
No, once you got your operation set up, I'm here to tell you that. So I don't know. It just drives me nuts. The whole thing is why most people get in the wholesaling, and the core of it is so you can get control of your life. You get your time and you get your finances in order. And once you get that, you decide how much you want to work. But who the heck, like, honestly, unless you're in the beginning stage, you're super excited. I went through this for about a 3 to 5 year period. Yeah. After a while, you're like, you know what? My time to me is more precious than the money, and I'm going to find balance. And as you get older, like me, you find that you only have so much time in life. You want to make it count as much as possible. So to me, it's not a bragging order, like how many hours a week you work. Listen, we're all different. We all learn at a different pace. And I was the type of guy in school, I had to crack that book and study it like forever. This guy never even cracked the book, and he just figured it out in like one shot on a test. We're all different. So this is just a guideline. But here's the deal is once I learn a task, it's done. Yeah. Okay. But I take longer to learn it. But I've learned if I really like a task like wholesaling, if you gave me freewholesaling.com 20 years ago, I would have watched it 50 times over. Yeah. I would have studied everything. And every time I had a problem, I would deep dive and I would rewind it 1,000 times. Then I'd get on the live and go, hey, Zach, what's this? Hey, Rick, what's that? And that's what I want you guys to understand. Some people get it the first shot. Some they got to ask the question 5 or 6 times in different types of ways.
Yeah, and one thing I can tell you guys, like I'm going to give you a big tip here, like during your schedule. Let's say you got to go, all right, let's say it's 9 o'clock at night. Tomorrow at 9 a.m., I got to go meet a seller at a house. And I'm a little bit nervous. This might be my second or third deal. What I could tell you is the best tip I give to you, rewatch at freewholesaling.com how we give our offers. Mm-hmm. Just listen to me and Rick give offers on mock conversations in the course and on the YouTube channel. Listen to 4 different videos of us teaching how to actually condition sellers. And when you wake up in the morning, you're going to be thinking of those 4 different times you've said it, and it's going to make you more confident. That's one other big tip I give to you. Before you cold call, 30 minutes, just listen. If you're pulling lists, I can tell you right now, the biggest times I've clicked onto something is when I rewatched the video 3 or 4 times.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're like skip tracing or pulling a list, this is a quick plug. I get it. But like listen to one of our videos, like an older video about doing something important that you're trying to do. Like we have a great pre-foreclosure breakdown on freewholesaling.com, and you're pulling a pre-foreclosure list and it might take you an hour or 2 hours. Just listen to that video in the background, put another tab while you're pulling the list, and just, it's better than listening to music, but like you're hearing me talk about the pre-foreclosure process. And if you listen to a couple times, you're going to understand it. And that's just one thing I can tell you is just rewatch. Now, of course, rewatching a video is good for us, but if you just rewatch, I'm telling you, it's going to be fine. Like you watch a pre-foreclosure video and then I don't do another one for like 2 months, you might forget about it. So I definitely recommend just repetition. It's going to help you so much. If you hear me and him, because we're crazy people, talk about how to condition the seller like 100 times in a row, you're going to get it down pat how to do it right. Yeah. So that's one thing I can tell you. So you're hearing us talk about a topic. You might have to listen to us talk about it like 5 times in a row before it clicks for you. Not a problem, but once it clicks, it should be there for you. It's just FYI, like I listen to a lot of stuff in the background when I work and stuff. It's educational and it helps me out a lot. When I was starting off with a lot of stuff, that's what I did. So 40 to 100 hours a week. Let's talk about crazy time, right? More or less, if you're going crazy time, full-time crazy.
It means you're crazy.
70 hours a week, like you're pushing it hard, right? You should be at least 12 hours list pulling, skip tracing, considering a VA. 44 hours should be in the marketing. Really, this is insane, but like 12 hours talking to sellers and cash buyers and following up. I don't see many people. There's some people on the stream that are doing this.
Yeah.
But really, that's pushing it. And if you're going crazy like this hard, I do recommend you dedicate at minimum 2 hours to networking with other wholesalers in your area and just around the country. It is worth it. That is my recommendation for it. Crazy time is insane, but the point of crazy time is to put so much cash in your business that hiring a VA just doesn't cost too much, and it makes it's just worth it, right?
And then you're going to go learn new tasks on how to scale up with a team. So this dream where people are telling you, I can get you started in wholesaling. You don't have to talk to anyone. I'm going to teach you how to do a team, how to do all the code. Guys, I've yet to see anybody successful in wholesaling that didn't start the journey themselves. Some people figure it out in 6 months. Some people take a couple years. It doesn't matter. Yeah. Like there is no like set timeline. Now, as I said, I was a very challenging learner in traditional schools. I was a good C, probably C minus, like a 2.3. That was back then. That was pride right there. And I just wasn't interested in what, like anytime I asked a question, teachers I go, what do we need to know algebra for? Sit down, Mr. Ginn. Like you're a problem. And they constantly called my parents. And honestly, I thought there was something wrong with me. And this is before they diagnosed everyone with ADHD, which by the way, I'm the poster child for. Fast forward to today. Everybody, I thought it was insane when I took this journey. I left a good corporate job. I had it. And I tell you, it's shifted so much more since I've left. To me, it's a no-brainer. Guys, the way they're teaching this stuff, don't get me wrong. I have a college degree. He has one. Yeah. In wholesaling, I know it's going to sound, it's irrelevant. Other than if you learn, like accounting was good, and I learned how to look at financial spreadsheets. I won't take that away, but honestly, I could go figure that out on my own.
Investments and stuff outside of wholesaling, but
so I learned differently. I will tell you, he's a much quicker learner than I am.
I'm not a quicker learner. I have basically a photographic memory, so I don't learn quicker. It gets absorbed faster. But I mean, that's pretty much it. But now let's kind of answer some questions we got here. Let me just show the schedule one last time for everybody. So let's go here. So part-time, really, this would be our recommendation for it. I know I got asked here for
everybody winds up in this one in one phase or the other. Sometimes people skip the part-time, and most of you are going to skip the crazy time. So we're just talking about like the meat and potatoes of time scheduling.
Yeah, exactly. So just that is the schedule there.
Did I tell you once a long time ago when I was in the corporate world?
This is the full-time one. Yeah, say it again.
I sat down with a corporate consultant, and they used to give you, back in the day, they give you a binder, like a planner,
Yeah.
and you would have to spell everything out for
yeah.
the whole week. And I'm just like, I go, you know what? This is exhausting. I'm like,
Yeah.
how? I spent more time on that planner than actually doing productive activities.
Yeah.
Typical corporate world. So
Yeah. So that is the full-time one there. And then crazy time. That's basically it.